Dave, nice to have you here today.
Thanks, Neil. Nice to be here.
This is just a prelude to our course which starts on the 10th of February, a Textiles and Fabrics course, which you will be presenting. So I just thought we'd ask some questions.
Yeah, fire away. Fire away.
Okay. Dave, tell us a little bit about yourself and your experiences in the textile industry over the years.
Well, you can see from my grey hair, I've been in the industry a long time. I've been in textiles for about 55 years, giving my age away a little bit. Obviously, I was still in nappies when I went into the industry, but I think I'm exaggerating slightly. You can tell from my accent that I come from the UK, and I did my academic qualifications in the UK, a textile degree in Blackburn, in Lancashire, and I worked in numerous manufacturing operations in Lancashire and subsequently in Leicestershire. I also worked for retailers such as Littlewoods and Marks and Spencer before coming to South Africa in 1982. I was brought out by Marks and Spencer to John Bulls, which was an associate company of Marks and Spencer at the time. And I've been in South Africa ever since. I worked for Woolworths for about 5 years, I think, from memory. 5 years, good 5 years. But my passion has always been with the product, and I wanted to go back into industry. And I joined a company called Ninian and Leicester. For those of you who know the retail brands, they produce jockey underwear under license from America. And they had a full range of merchandise that they produce, such as socks, hosiery, underwear, outerwear. And I was employed as their group technical manager, looking at problems, looking at product development, etc. I then took over one of the factories in Cape Town, and I was promoted to production director. And I was in that function or that position for 8 years. And again, not wanting to carry on dealing with unions, I found it more interesting dealing with product. So I carried on working for the group as, again, product development manager until I decided in 2000 that the travelling, because I was travelling quite a lot in South Africa and overseas, that I really had enough of it, and I decided to go and work for myself. Took the plunge when I was in my 50s, mid-50s, and I've been doing it ever since. So I've got a number of clients all over the world and in South Africa, and I consult for retailers such as Ackermans, Pep, Mr. Price, unfortunately Edgar's until Edcon, I should say, last year. Unfortunately, they closed the doors due to the lockdown. And I deal with Australian clients, Chinese clients. I work for Hamar in Amsterdam. And locally, I work for people like Falky, the sock people. So I get around quite a lot, and that's me really. I'm still doing it at my ripe old age of 18.
And don't forget you advisor to the technology station.
I'm technical advisor to technology station and part-time lecturer whilst I'm here today. Yeah.
Thanks, Dave. I think that those years are really well deserved in terms of the experience that you've gained in assisting, especially businesses, around product development, specification writing, problem solving, etc. So as for example, somebody who's looking at gaining some knowledge about textiles, for example, a fashion designer or product development technologist, why is it important to have knowledge of textiles? Why do you think it's important to have?
Well, it's a good question, because when I deal with retail, and remember my job tends to be looking at all the problem areas as well as product development, so I never see the good side of retail, only the problem side. But a lot of the problems are really come from textiles themselves. So you can remember that textiles encompasses quite a lot of disciplines. We start with fibre. We from fibre we go into yarn, from yarn into fabric. Fabric we put the fabric into apply colour or dyes or printing, etc. There's a lot to go wrong, and you need to know the right way to produce the right way to produce fabric and the wrong way, because mostly what happens now in retail, price is the king, and price can affect the quality and lead to a lot of problems, customer dissatisfaction and product failure. From a designer point of view, you need to know the characteristics of what the fibre will give you. Specifically, if you're looking at functional garments, if you're looking at fabrics that give thermal properties, which are the best fibres, which is the best knitted or woven construction? How do you maximise thermal property? Again, it's for cooling. What is the right fibre to do? If it's for durability, it's for non-creasing, which combination of fibres should we be using? So if you're a product development manager or technician, or you're a designer, you have to have an understanding from fibre right the way through to dyeing and finishing before you can really say, okay, I now understand this fabric that I'm going to assemble into a garment. Because what normally happens is that emphasis is always on fit, which is very important, sizing, appearance, and construction of the garment, which is very important. But it's only a fraction when you look at the bigger picture on the textile that goes into that product.
And looking at that, one of the important issues that crops up all the time is price. And how fabric buyers or fashion designers try and balance pricing, the look. Maybe just your comment on everybody's trying to chase the lowest price.
My retail colleagues, I laugh at them because when we talk about fibres, I said, you've only got one fibre that goes into your stores, and that's polyester. Why? Because it's cheap. And I must be honest, it's not my favourite fibre. It has its place. But you've got to have a balance, because, again, if I was producing underwear, for instance, and it was using spun polyester, it would be the most uncomfortable garment that you could wish to ever wear. It's hot, it's hydrophobic, which means it doesn't absorb moisture. So yes, you can get underwear being produced by 100% polyester. But you might sell it for the first season, but are you going to sell it for the second season? So there is a balance. Hence why a lot of retailers will offset the price by putting a little bit of cotton in. So you get cotton polyester, the completely absorbency. And look, I'm a purist. I like natural fibres, but obviously, if you're a discount retailer, you have to cater for your low income customers. So it's not always possible. But certainly, I think the price tends to have overtaken, in a lot of respects, the comfort of the garment, the comfort and the appeal. So, price, yes, it's important, but it's not the king.
Thanks, Dave. I think that sort of whets our appetite in terms of what we're going to be hearing from you when you run the course Textiles and Fabrics in February. And we look forward to a great program. We will be showing at a later stage some more detail in terms of what the program is about.
But thanks for coming through today.
Well, thank you very much. I look forward to seeing some of the students in February.
Okay, I'd like to give you an overview of the textile course that will be run during 2021 at the Belleville campus. The course comprises of 8 modules. First one is Understanding Fibers. This module covers the classification of fibers, fiber properties, fiber blends, and their properties. The second module is Understanding Yarn Spinning Processes. This module covers the pre-production processes from fiber to sliver and roving, the various yarn spinning methods, carded and combed yarns, the importance of yarn twists, yarn count systems, specialty yarns, which will be explained. The third module is Understanding Weaving. And this module covers the yarn warping process and how a woven fabric is produced. The patterning scope of cam, dobby, and jacquard weaving machines is explained. And the different methods of weft insertion and the advantages for a manufacturer, fabric agent, and retail buyer. The fourth module is Understanding Woven Fabrics, or woven fabric constructions. This module covers the construction of the main woven fabric groups, how to identify and analyze a woven fabric, how to analyze cloth count, and woven fabric properties and their different characteristics. Module 5 is Understanding Weft Knitting. Here we cover weft knitted fabric constructions. This module covers the construction of the main weft knitted fabric groups and the weft knitting machine types. How to identify and analyze a weft knitted stitch and fabric types, and how to analyze and calculate stitch density. Finally, weft knitted fabric properties and their different characteristics. Module 6, Understanding Warp Knitting. Here we cover warp knitted fabric constructions. This module covers the construction of the main warp knitted fabric groups and warp knitting machine types. How to identify and analyze a warp knitted stitch and fabric types. And how to analyze and calculate stitch density. Warp knitted fabric properties and their different characteristics. The next module is Understanding Textile Dyeing. This is the 7th module, and it covers textile dyeing and finishing. This module covers the dyeing and fabric finishing methods, the technology of color, the types of dye used to dye the fiber types, the types of dyeing machines and dyeing processes, the types of fabric finishing machines and processes. And lastly, Module 8, Understanding Textile Printing. This module covers the textile printing methods, the technology of print color, the properties of pigment and dye print applications on textile fibers, the types of printing machines and printing processes, and common printing faults will be explained. And finally, goodbye for now, and hope to see you in 2021. Unfortunately, not on the beach, but in the lecture room at CPUT Belleville campus.